My name is Marlowe Finch. I'm 38 years old. And the night my mother laughed in my face is the night everything I thought I knew about my family quietly cracked. It happened at the dining table, with the lights too bright and the air too still. And I remember thinking how strange it was that nobody noticed the sound my heart made when it dropped. She said, I'd never match my brother. I didn't argue. I stood up. I didn't always know I was the lesser one, not consciously. As a child, favoritism feels like weather. It's just there. You learn to dress for it. You learn to keep moving when the temperature drops without warning. My younger brother, Callum, was the sun in our house. He drew everything toward him. Praise, patience, second chances. I learned early how to orbit without colliding. That night, decades later, the orbit finally failed. We were gathered for what my mother called a simple family dinner, which in her language meant a performance. Her house had the staged warmth she favored, and candles lit but unscented. A roast cooked just enough to be admired more than eaten. The table set with her good plates, the ones she brought out when she wanted witnesses. My father had been gone for years by then. Heart attack, sudden, inconvenient. After that, my mother tightened like a knot. Callum sat to her right, as always. He was 35 then, well-dressed, confident in the way people are when they believe the floor will never give way. He smiled at the right times, spoke with easy certainty about work, about opportunities, about how busy he was. My mother listened like she was receiving blessings. I sat across from them, a glass of water untouched in front of me. I had come straight from work. My blazer still smelled faintly of the office. I'd almost cancelled. I should have. The conversation drifted, as it always did, toward comparison. It was subtle at first. A comment about Callum's promotion. A remark about how demanding his field was. A glance in my direction that carried a question she didn't bother to ask. And then, as if she were clearing her throat, my mother said it. You know, Marlowe, she began, folding her napkin with slow precision, not everyone is built to reach the same heights. Callum didn't look at me. He never did when she did this. He focused on his plate, on his wine, on anything that allowed him to benefit without participating. I'm just being realistic, she continued. Your brother has always had drive, talent. Some people simply don't. The room felt smaller, not tight, hollow. I noticed the hum of the refrigerator, the clock ticking too loudly on the wall. I felt calm in a way that scared me. I've done fine, I said. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. She smiled. Not unkindly. Worse. Fine isn't the same as matching him. There it was. Spoken cleanly. No ornament, no apology. I could have swallowed it. I had swallowed worse. Years of it. The way she praised him for achievements that mirrored mine, but carried more weight, because they were his. The way my setbacks were lessons, and his were tragedies. The way she told people I was independent, which meant she didn't need to worry about me. Instead, I stood. The chair legs scraped softly against the floor. Callum finally looked up, surprised, as if furniture wasn't meant to move unless he did. Then he can pay his own bills, I said. My mother laughed. A quick, dismissive sound. What bills? That was when I reached for my bag. I hadn't planned to say anything that night, not really. The folder had been there because it lived there now, because I carried it like a habit, because paper has weight, and weight keeps you honest. I took it out slowly and placed it on the table between us. The laughter stopped. Her smile lingered for a second too long, like a frozen mask, before it slipped. Page 1, I said quietly. She didn't move. Callum leaned forward, confused now, irritation creeping into his eyes. He reached for the folder, but my hand rested on it. Light, firm. Mom, I said. You should read it. Her fingers trembled when she opened it. That moment would matter later. The way her face changed. The way color drained from her cheeks as if pulled by a thread. The way she inhaled sharply, as if the air had suddenly thinned. But that was not where the story began. It began years earlier, with small things. With mail sent to the wrong address. With phone calls meant for me that were cut short when she realized who she'd dialed. With statements I wasn't supposed to see. I worked in compliance. Numbers spoke to me. Patterns whispered. After my father died, my mother leaned heavily on Callum. Or at least, that was the story she told. He moved closer, took over logistics, helped with finances. She praised him endlessly for stepping up. I was the daughter who had always been capable. I lived an hour away. I visited when I could. I called weekly. It was enough, or so I thought. The first red flag came disguised as gratitude. She called me one afternoon, breathless, almost cheerful. "I don't know what I'd do without your brother," she said. "He's been handling so much. Utilities, insurance, the house, all those confusing forms." I pictured him, attentive and careful, and felt that old familiar distance settle in my chest. "That's good," I said. There was a pause. "I'm glad you don't have to worry about things like that," she added. "You've always been more detached. It wasn't an insult, not on paper, but it landed like one. A week later, a letter arrived at my apartment. My mother's name on the envelope, my address beneath it. Inside was a utility notice. Overdue. Final warning. I stared at it for a long time. Then I called her. "Oh, that?" she said lightly. "Callum must have mixed things up. He's been so busy." I offered to help. She waved it away. "It's handled." It wasn't. Over the next year, the pieces accumulated. Small payments made in my name. Accounts opened with my details. Transfers that didn't align. I noticed because I look. Because it's what I do. Because you don't spend a career untangling other people's messes without learning how easily lines blur. I confronted Callum once, casually, over coffee. He laughed it off. "You worry too much," he said. "Mom trusts me. Relax." I let it go. I shouldn't have. The second letter came 3 months later, a notice of default. I drove to my mother's house, unannounced that weekend. She seemed startled to see me. Not unhappy. Startled. Callum wasn't there. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one we would later sit at for the dinner. Sunlight filtered through the window. Dust motes floated lazily in the air. "I think something's wrong," I said, placing the letter between us. She barely glanced at it. "Callum's taking care of everything. Mom," I said gently, "this is in my name." She frowned then. A flicker of annoyance crossed her face. "Why would he do that?" "I don't know," I said, "but I need to understand what's happening." She sighed, tired suddenly. "I don't want to get in the middle." The sentence stunned me, as if I were an outsider, as if I were asking her to choose between strangers. "I'm not asking you to take sides," I said. "I'm asking you to look." She didn't. That was the pattern. I would bring evidence. She would bring trust. Blind, unwavering trust. Not in me, in him. So I stopped pushing. Not because I gave up. Because I started watching. I requested records. Quietly, legally. I traced timelines. I followed signatures. I learned just how much of my mother's financial life had been rerouted through Callum's hands. How many obligations had been quietly shifted. How many payments he had delayed, redirected, or ignored. And I learned how my name had been used. It wasn't dramatic. No single theft. No movie villain moment. It was slow, incremental, plausibly deniable. He paid some things, ignored others, used shared accounts, justified transfers, labeled expenses as family support. All the while, my mother praised him for his sacrifice. I assembled the folder over months, page by page, statements, emails, payment histories. Nothing illegal on its own, everything damning together. I didn't confront him again. I didn't tell my mother what I was doing. I waited. That waiting changed me. By the time of the dinner, I was tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. I loved my mother. I still do. That's the worst part. Loving someone who refuses to see you. When she said I'd never match my brother, something in me let go. Not anger. Something cleaner. Resolution. When she laughed and asked what bills, I knew it was time. She turned the first page with shaking hands. Callum leaned closer, his brow furrowing. "What is this?" he asked. "Read," I said. The room was silent, except for the rustle of paper. Her breath hitched. She turned another page, then another. "Callum," she whispered. He reached for the folder. This time I let him take it. His confidence faltered as he scanned the pages. I watched his jaw tighten. His eyes darted. His face drained. "This is out of context," he said quickly. Too quickly. "Is it?" I asked. She looked up at me then, really looked, as if seeing me for the first time in years. Her mouth opened, closed. She looked smaller, older. "You knew?" she asked. "I tried to tell you," I said. My voice didn't shake. "You didn't want to hear it." The folder lay open between us, heavy with truth. The candles flickered. The roast cooled untouched. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one shrinking. My mother's hand stayed on the folder, as if it might slide away on its own. She didn't look at Callum. She didn't look at me. She stared at the paper like it was breathing. "This can't be right," she said finally. Her voice was thin, careful, as if speaking too loudly might break something. Callum laughed, sharp and brittle. "Of course it's not right. Anyone can print spreadsheets. You think numbers don't lie, Marlowe? But they can be made to say anything." I watched him as he spoke. The speed of his denial, the way his foot tapped under the table, the way he didn't meet my eyes this time, those details mattered more than his words. "You told me you handled the utilities," my mother said. She still hadn't looked at him. "You told me everything was current." "It was," he said. "It is. This is just timing. Transfers. Internal stuff you wouldn't understand." She flinched at that. Not because he'd insulted her, because he'd said what she'd always believed. I reached forward and turned one page, slowly. I didn't touch them. I didn't need to. "Then explain why the late notices came to my address," I said. "Explain why my name is on accounts I never opened. Explain why payments were made from my details and credited as family expenses." Silence settled again. Heavy now. Different. My mother finally looked at me. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, like she was looking through me to something behind. "You let her think I was irresponsible?" she asked him. Callum exhaled hard. "I was protecting you." "From what?" I asked. He ignored me. "You don't understand how stressful it was after Dad died. Someone had to manage things. She couldn't. You weren't here." "I was an hour away," I said. "You were distant," he snapped. "You always are." There it was. The old story. The one that made everything his burden and my absence a crime. My mother closed the folder. The sound was final. Too final. "I need air," she said. She stood, pushing her chair back abruptly, and walked toward the hallway. I watched her go, shoulders hunched, smaller than I remembered. Callum shot me a look that landed somewhere between fury and fear. "You had no right," he said under his breath. "I had every right," I said. "You used my name." "For family," he hissed. "For her." "Then why hide it?" He didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket instead. "Don't leave," I said. He paused at the door. His hand rested on the handle longer than necessary. "This isn't over," he said. Not a threat, a promise. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. The house felt hollow after that. The candles burnt low. The food sat untouched. I gathered the folder and slipped it back into my bag. I didn't follow my mother. Not yet. When she came back, her face was set. Composed. Too composed. "I want copies," she said. "Of everything." "I can send them," I said. She nodded once. "I'll call you." She didn't hug me. She didn't apologize. She went into the kitchen and began clearing plates that hadn't been used. I left shortly after. The drive home felt longer than usual. The road blurred. I replayed the evening in fragments. The way her voice had changed. The way Callum had reached for the folder like it burned him. I slept poorly. Woke before dawn to my phone buzzing. A message from Callum. "You think you're clever. You have no idea what you've started." I didn't respond. By mid-morning, my mother called. "I've been going through my files," she said. "There are things missing." I leaned against my kitchen counter, listening. "Statements," she continued. "Insurance letters. Documents I know were here." "Callum had access," I said. Yes," she said. "He did." Her voice wavered then, just slightly. "I want you to come over," she said. "Today." I arrived to find the house in disarray, drawers open, files stacked haphazardly on the table. My mother sat surrounded by paper, her hair pulled back tightly, her glasses perched low on her nose. "He organized everything," she said. "I let him." I sat across from her. I didn't touch anything. "He said it was easier if one person handled it," she went on. I didn't want to argue. I nodded. Arguing had never been her strength. We worked quietly for hours, sorting, comparing, matching what was there against what I had copies of. The gaps became obvious quickly. "Why would he do this?" she asked at one point. Not to me, to the room. I didn't answer. The truth was complicated and incomplete. By evening, exhaustion had set in. She sank into a chair, hands pressed to her temples. "I trusted him," she said. "I know," I replied. She looked up sharply. "Did you?" "Yes," I said. "For a long time." Her eyes filled then. She blinked hard. "I need to speak to him." "I think you should wait," I said. She frowned. "Why?" "Because he's already scared," I said. "And scared people make mistakes." She studied me, really studied me, the way she had at the table the night before. You've changed, she said. I had to, I replied. That night, Callum called her. I knew because she called me immediately after. He says you're manipulating me, she said. What did you say? I said I was tired, she replied, and that I needed time. It was the first boundary she'd ever drawn with him. Over the next week, things unraveled quietly. Notices arrived. Some addressed to her, some to me, some to entities neither of us recognized at first. Each one added weight. Then came the call from the bank. They wanted clarification on recent activity. Routine, they said. My mother handed me the phone without speaking. I answered questions carefully, honestly, without accusation. Afterward, she sat very still. They said something about exposure, she murmured. About risk. Yes, I said. Am I in trouble? She asked. No, I said. Not if we act correctly, she nodded, slowly. That was when she told me something she hadn't before. There's more, she said. I waited. After your father died, she began, Callum convinced me to restructure things. He said it was smarter. For taxes. For flexibility. My stomach tightened. He had me sign documents, she continued. I didn't read them closely. He said it was standard. Do you have copies? I asked. She shook her head. He took them. The power dynamic shifted then. Not because I gained control, because I realized how much there was still to lose. I requested records formally the next day, through proper channels, quietly, patiently. Callum stopped answering my messages. He sent one to my mother instead. I've spoken to an advisor. This is being blown out of proportion. Marlowe has always resented me. Be careful. She showed it to me without comment. When the documents arrived, the picture sharpened. Assets had been bundled. Authority delegated. Safeguards loosened. Nothing illegal. Everything dangerous. You're exposed, I said. Not ruined, but vulnerable. She closed her eyes. I let him. Yes, I said. But you can also stop him. Her phone rang. Then, a number we didn't recognize. She answered, listened. Her face drained. What? She said. She handed me the phone. A polite voice introduced himself, a consultant. He'd been approached by Callum. There were questions, concerns. He wanted to confirm authorization. I answered carefully, declined to confirm anything. Requested documentation. When I hung up, my mother stared at me. He's trying to move things, she said. Yes, I said. Because he thinks you're still confused. What do we do? I paused, measured my words. We let him keep thinking that, I said. She inhaled sharply. That sounds dangerous. It's controlled, I replied. That night, I stayed at her house. Not for strategy, for presence. We didn't speak much. The television murmured in the background. She fell asleep in her chair. I covered her with a blanket. At dawn, my phone buzzed again. A message from Callum. We need to talk. Today, alone. I stared at the screen. Then at my mother, asleep, breathing softly. I typed back. You can talk to Mom. In writing, 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Another message came through. You've always wanted this, to take my place. I didn't respond. By afternoon, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside were copies of documents I hadn't yet received. Highlighted, annotated. A note was clipped to the front. Thought you should see what she signed. My hands were steady as I read, but something cold settled in my chest. He hadn't just acted as her agent. She had named him successor. In the event of incapacity, in the event of death, control would pass entirely to him. I looked up to find my mother standing in the doorway, watching my face. What is it? She asked. I handed her the papers. She read slowly, thoroughly. When she finished, she sat down heavily. He planned this, she whispered. Yes, I said. She covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes filled again, but this time there was something else there too. Clarity. Her phone rang. Callum's name lit the screen. She didn't answer. She looked at me instead. What happens now? She asked. I met her gaze, held it. Now, I said. He makes his next move. The phone kept ringing between us, the sound sharp in the quiet room, and neither of us reached for it. The phone rang until it stopped on its own. The silence that followed felt heavier than the sound had been. My mother lowered the device to the table and didn't turn it face down. She let his name stay visible, as if she needed to see it to believe it was real. He thinks I'll answer eventually, she said. He's counting on habit, I replied. She nodded, slowly, the kind of nod that comes when something settles into place. That afternoon, she asked me to sit beside her, not across, beside. We spread the papers out again, but this time her hands didn't shake. She read every line, asked careful questions, not frantic ones, focused ones. What happens if I revoke this? She asked, tapping the clause that named him successor. It takes effect immediately, I said. But he'll be notified. She inhaled, held it, then exhaled through her nose. Then let him be notified. We didn't rush. That was the difference between panic and control. We scheduled appointments with people who had no loyalty to either of us, people who spoke plainly, who documented everything. Callum called again that night. She didn't answer. He left a message, long, rambling, defensive. I don't know what Marlowe's telling you, his voice said, distorted through the speaker, but she's always had a problem with me. I was trying to protect you. From stress, from mistakes. Please don't do anything until we talk. My mother listened without interrupting. When it ended, she pressed delete. The next morning, she signed the revocation. No drama. No shaking hand. Just ink on paper. The confirmation email arrived an hour later. Callum called within minutes. This time, she answered. I could hear him even without the speaker on. His voice was tight, controlled. Too controlled. What did you do? He asked. I corrected something, she replied. You didn't talk to me. I didn't need to. A pause. Short, sharp. You let her do this, he said. I knew he meant me. She didn't let me, my mother said. She showed me. Another pause. Longer. This affects a lot of things, he said. Yes, she replied. It does. I was handling everything. That was the problem. He exhaled audibly. You're making a mistake. No, she said. I made one years ago. This is me fixing it. He didn't raise his voice. That would have been easier. Instead, he softened it. I'm your son, he said. Don't do this to me. Her eyes closed briefly. When she opened them, there was grief there, but no hesitation. I'm your mother, she said. And I'm done being afraid of you. The line went dead. For the first time, I saw my mother cry, without apologizing for it. She didn't hide her face. She didn't excuse the tears. She just let them come. I thought loving him meant trusting him, she said. Sometimes it means seeing clearly, I replied. The fallout didn't come all at once. It arrived in pieces. Requests for clarification. Formal notices. Subtle shifts in tone from people who had once deferred to Callum without question. He sent me messages I didn't answer. He sent my mother messages she archived without responding. Then he showed up, unannounced. Midweek, mid-morning. I heard the knock before I saw him. Hard, impatient. My mother looked at me. I nodded once. She opened the door. Callum stood there, jaw tight, eyes darting past her into the house. We need to talk, he said. We are, she replied. Right now. He stepped inside without waiting for permission. He stopped short when he saw me. You, he said. Of course. I didn't greet him. He turned back to her. You've caused a mess. No, she said. I stopped one, he scoffed. You don't even understand what you signed away. I understand exactly what I signed back, she said. He looked at her then, really looked. Something shifted in his expression. This isn't you, he said. She didn't flinch. That's where you're wrong. He turned to me. You think you've won? I met his gaze, calm, steady. This was never a competition, I said. He laughed, bitter. You've always wanted to be better than me. I shook my head. I wanted to be left alone. That landed harder than anything else I could have said. He stared at me, momentarily thrown. My mother crossed her arms. You're not in charge here anymore. His eyes flicked back to her. You can't just erase me. I'm not erasing you, she said. I'm removing your excess. He took a step closer. You'll regret this. Threats won't change my mind, she replied. He opened his mouth, closed it again. His shoulders dropped slightly. After everything I did, he said quietly. She didn't soften. After everything you did without telling me. Silence stretched between them, thick, uncomfortable. I'll be in touch, he said finally. No, she replied. You won't. He left without another word. The house felt different after that. Lighter. Not because the damage was gone, but because it was no longer hidden. The weeks that followed were procedural, necessary, draining. We addressed each vulnerability one by one. Not dramatically, methodically. Callum tried to intervene through intermediaries. It didn't work. The last message he sent me was short. You've turned her against me. I typed back for the first time. She chose herself. He didn't reply. Months passed. The tension faded into something quieter, more manageable. My mother laughed more, not loudly, but genuinely. She slept better, ate better, asked questions without fear of sounding ignorant. One evening, we sat on the porch as the sun went down. The air was cool, still. I used to think strength looked like control, she said. Like decisiveness, like certainty. I waited. Now, I think it looks like boundaries, she continued. And patience. I smiled. That sounds right. She glanced at me. You didn't have to do all this. I know, I said. I chose to. She reached for my hand, held it. I'm proud of you, she said. The words landed softly, but they stayed. I didn't hear from Callum again. Not directly. I heard about him secondhand. His confidence fractured, his authority questioned. Nothing catastrophic, just consequences, the quiet kind. I returned to my life, my work, my routines. They felt steadier now, less like something I had to justify. One afternoon, I organized my files. I came across the original folder, the one that started everything. I considered throwing it away. I didn't. I placed it in a drawer, closed it gently. Some things aren't meant to be erased, just contained. Time did what it always does. It softened the edges. Not the truth, just the pain around it. My mother and I found a new rhythm. Not perfect, but honest. And me. I learned something important. Silence isn't weakness, it's restraint. And when used carefully, it can change everything. If you're listening to this right now, I wonder what folder you've been carrying quietly. What truth you've held back because it felt safer that way. Sometimes, the strongest move isn't confrontation, it's preparation. If this story resonated with you, tell me where you're listening from. I read the comments. And if you believe stories like this matter, you're welcome to like and subscribe. Some lessons arrive loudly, others wait patiently. Thank you for staying until the end.